Simcha. Of course, we cannot change it. If you don't do it on his third birthday, they'll throw him out of the cheder. There's no hope. I mean, these are the posters and the newspapers and the mass media ruling the world and ruling our mind. There's no more, it's not Das Torah anymore. Often when people come from Chutz La'aretz, they want me to write a letter in a Sefer Torah. They come with 3 or 4 expert photographers, and they're snapping pictures. So I tell the photographers, in my eyes, you're like Chaim Oizer Grudinsky. You're as great as him. I said, what do you mean? You're making fun of us. I said, no. When the Chazon Ish came to Eretz Yisrael, Chaim Oizer sent out a message, Gadol Ador Ba, Ari Ala MeBavel. So they received him as Gadol Ador. Today, there's no Gedolim endorsing other Gedolim. It's all the photographers. If you're in the papers, if your pictures all over, lighting a menorah and this and that, then you're Gadol Ador. Obviously, if you give a political opinion, you're a Goin Oilam. And if you make a machloikes, you're Gaon HaGeonim. We see it. We see Burim Be'amei Haaretz, who never opened a sefer in their life. They made machloikes, and all of a sudden, they're Moreh Hora, and Dayonim, and Rosh Yeshivas. It's all, this is what builds people up today. And the true Gedolei Israel, I'm not speaking about, the Gedolei Israel, I'm not speaking about Reb Chaim or anyone on that caliber. I'm speaking about the next generation of Gedolim, people who know Shas and Poiskim, Be'iyun, all the way through, have no value. They have no value. If one of them goes into Musayef to pray, no one will stand up to him. If one of the pop rabbis come in, or show business rabbis, everyone is standing up. Wow! And the Burim Be'amei Haaretz, halavai, they're religious. I have my doubts as to whether they're religious at all. But the true Gedolim are nothing anymore. This is a very serious problem. Anyhow, we'll get to the point now. Hashem gave us this warning, and I think I understood it a year ago, more than a year ago, and I said it out publicly, that it's got to do with Sinat Hinam, Machloket, Bizayon, Gedolei Israel, etc. But it seems not too much attention was paid generally to understand the message that Hashem is giving us, because it was all over the world. Now it's specifically not only in Eretz Israel, not only Jews, but at the heart of the Haredi community. And not only that, those who died, if you look at the list, every type, you have Sidim, you have Litvish, you have either side of the Litvish, you have Sfardim, you have young, from Talmudei Toiras, from Yeshiva Katanas, Yeshiva Gedoilas, Koilelim, Rabbonim, the heart of Klal Yisrael. And when did it happen? This took place on the day that the Talmidei Rabbi Akiva stopped dying. That the Ramah says, in the Shulchan Aruch, that on this day, we are marbin k'tzat b'simcha, because they stopped dying. By the way, the Pri Chodesh asks, that's the reason for k'tzat simcha? Everyone died. Not one of them was saved. If 23,000 died, 1,000 remained, 500 remained, 100 remained, 10 remained, 5 remained, 1 remained, no, k'tzat simcha. But everyone died. So what's the Ramah saying, marbin bo k'tzat simcha? So the Pri Chodesh says you'll find the answer in the Kisvei Ari. He used to hide that he was a Mekubal. And there the Ari says it's Yom HaSmicha. It's Yom HaSmicha. That's how it became a holiday. Simcha Satera, because on this day the Torah regained its power, and the Torah of Rabbi Akiva especially went down to the generations through his 5 new students, who were b'shalom with one another, as it says in the Zohar. that they were b'shalom with one another. So I think for such a thing to happen, a massacre of 45 Yirei Shamayim, tzaddikim, children, Bnei Torah, Avrechim, Rabbonim, Chassidim, Litvish, Sfardim, it's telling us something very, very, very deep. They died on the day that the Talmidei Rabbi Akiva stopped dying. They continued dying. Now this is very, very obvious. There's a deep, deep message here. You can't say it's Mikrehu. And Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was one of the Talmidim. The Chida on the Ben Ish Hai writes that since it's a simcha of the smicha, the right thing to do is if you're anywhere in the Galil, go to the grave of Rabbi Akiva and the 5 Talmidim. They're all in the neighborhood. Go to all of them because it's a simcha of all 5. And then some say the reason why specifically it's Rashbi because he was Megali Sisrei Torah. And the understanding is that B'hai Sifra Dilach Atidim Lemipak Megaluta Uberahamim, that through the learning of Sisrei Torah by Gedolei Yisrael, the Mashiach will come. So they felt a special kesher. So much so that the Hatam Sofer was Maspid, a few thousand maybe, who died in the earthquake in Sfat about almost 200 years ago. In his Roshas, he has a hesped. So he says that in his opinion, why did this happen? Elbona shel Yerushalayim. It was a disgrace for Yerushalayim, Yer HaKodesh, that all the Olim were going from the time of the Ari and the Bet Yosef, they were all going to the Galil, Tveria, Tzfat, Meron. And they weren't coming to Yerushalayim. And Yerushalayim, during those generations, was hardly a minyan. Hardly. So he said it's Elbona shel Yerushalayim. And then he asked, okay, but why did they go there? Why didn't they come to Yerushalayim? So he says, no, they wanted to be near Rashbi, near Ari, because they knew that the eventual Geula is going to come with Zchut, Torah Sanister. They wanted to be there near the Mekubalim. So that's the opinion of the Hatam Sofer and his droshes. It's not my opinion, it's his opinion. So for this reason, we can say it's specifically connected to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. And at his grave, it couldn't be more clear, on the very day that the 24,000 stopped dying, by us, people died. On this very day, at Meron, by Rashbi. Today it's almost like, ironic to see all the posters. Yeshuot, Atzlachot, Brachot, come to Meron or send your donation. Shem Yirahem. There were dinim gedolim and heavy punishment meted out to Klal Israel. We're all smashed and broken. Kimat ein bayit she'en sham met. Almost every misgeret, every family, every bet knesset, every koilel has a connection to what's happened. No one was left out. I think the message is so clear, we have to know how to transmit this concept of making Ahava B'Yisrael, Kovod HaChamim. That never meant that there can't be differences of opinion. They can. But it doesn't have to come to such an extreme that there can't be peace among Yidden. This means, Akiva says, Ze klal gadol b'Torah, v'ahavta lecha kamocha. Meaning, Kiyum Torah. He didn't say it's a very important thing. Kiyum Torah depends on this. So all of us want to learn. There are many Nidivei Amenu supporting. They want to see good fruit developing from the kollels that they support. So the only hope is if we really learn Torah, be'ahava, achva, shalom, v'ri'ud. And there are halachot. We have to learn the halachot. Mishnah Berurah more or less says it. Let's say, Tinukot shenishbu. Of course, we cannot even blame them. We have to try and help these type of people to do tshuva and teach them Torah. And then you have others, lete'avon. They sin lete'avon. It's hard for them to control their Yetzer Hara. And they do bad things. But even in halacha, we know that the avon is a lesser level of a sin. Then you have those who do it intentionally, b'mrida. Amazing. That's more serious. About all these categories, the halakha is Itamu hatta'im min haaretz, hatta'im v'lo chot'im, Hazal said. We're not allowed to hate them. Even someone who sins b'mrida, we cannot hate him. We have to hate his deeds. But the Mishnah Brura, in the first siman in the Shulchan Aruch, tells us there's only one type of Jew we're obligated to hate and fight. And these are those people who use political connections. Of course, he was at his time referring to the maskilim who were doing this, to uproot Torah and destroy Torah in the world. They were malshinim. They were telling the communists where there's a cheder, where there's a mikveh, where there's a shchita, and these people were sent to Siberia and killed. So he said, these type of people, about them, David HaMelech said, Tachlit senitim, le'oivim hayu li, and we have to do everything in our power. We start b'shalom, he says. We start b'shalom. But if they don't listen and they carry on, then we have to do everything in our power to stop them. Mishnah Brura and Biur Halacha and Shara Tziyun on the first siman. Everyone knows it. So I think this should be our guideline. Probably, for sure, in the Haredi Olam, everyone was speaking about not just religious people, we're speaking about Talmidei HaChomim and Yirei Hashem, Moiser Nefesh, Al Torah Vel Avodah. This is their life. Torah and Mitzvot is their life. I'm sure, as it should be, we should be ready to sacrifice our life to save Torah. And I'm sure that's how everyone is. But when it comes to opinions and maybe even politics or things like that, then everyone loses sight of the truth and people can become enemies. In learning, we're allowed to have enemies. We're allowed to fight, as Hazal say, ברזל בברזל, אהב את בנו והרב את תלמידו, בזמן שלומדים תורה, נעשים שונאים זה לזה. But the Torah, עת והב בסופה, the end is peace and love, uncommon. But when it's to do with other things, control, money, and politics, and other things, so then there's no עת והב בסופה, it's not a מחלוקת לשם שמיים. Just by the way, I often explain, it's half a joke. Hazal say, כל מחלוקת שהיא לשם שמיים, סופה להתקיים. כל מחלוקת שאינה לשם שמיים, אין סופה להתקיים. So the simple meaning we all know. Hillel v'Shammai was מתקיים because הלכה בעולם הזה like בית הלל, in עולם הבא like בית שמאי, all emet. But lo l'shem shamayim, whatever they're fighting about, whether it's money or Stella or whatever, Yerusha. In the end, there's no money left. The lawyers took it all, and they're left with nothing. So, en sof litkayem. At some stage, there's nothing to fight about anymore. But we can look at it maybe half a joke. I said differently. Kol mahloket shehi shelo l'shem shamayim en sof litkayem. As we said. They're fighting about something specific. At some stage, they're not around, or they die, or the specific thing is not there anymore. There's nothing to fight about. But when it's a mahloket l'shem shamayim, meaning my Rebbe is right, my Shitta is right, sofa litkayim, it will go on forever. It never stops. From generation to generation, it will carry on, has v'sholem, machloikes, without stopping, because it's Hashem Shamayim. No one will give up. It's the biggest mitzvah. We have to change all of this. People should become aware of the truth and do what's right. Hashem Yezakenu. לשוב בתשובה, להתחזק.